Hey guys, welcome back to r/entitledparents. Imagine your dad cancelling your birthday just because your golden child sister had a runny nose. Let's dive right into a story about some of the most awful parents of all time. I was 12 when I first understood how my dad Tom treated my sister Lily like she was the sun and I was just some random cloud in his sky. I know it's normal for most parents to have a favorite kid or something, but my dad went overboard with it. He didn't even try to hide his favoritism. The family would call him out at Thanksgiving or Christmas saying, "Tom, you're too hard on Jake," and he would just shrug with his eyes glued to Lily. "She is the spitting image of her mom," he would say, voice all soft as if that explained why I was invisible to him. My mom died when I was 6 and yeah, Lily had her eyes, her smile and her wavy brown hair, but I was mom's kid too, you know. I had her laugh and her stubborn streak. But my dad never saw it. Lily was 2 years younger and she figured out real quick how to play him. She would tilt her head, flash those big eyes and go, "Please, daddy." Boom, new dress, ice cream, a shiny bike she barely rode. Me? I would ask for something small like a $5 comic book and my dad would lean back in his recliner, squinting like I was begging for a yacht. "What would you do to deserve it, Jake?" he would ask all gruff. If I didn't have a list of chores done like mowing the lawn, cleaning the garage, washing his truck or a report card with straight A's, I got nothing. One time, I saved up my own money from mowing neighbors' lawns to buy a used skateboard, and my dad said it was a waste, but I loved that thing. Then, Lily borrowed it one day, crashed it into a curb, and snapped the deck in half. She cried her fake little tears when I queried, and my dad hugged her, saying, "It's okay, princess, accidents happen." Then he turned to me all stern, "Jake, you gotta learn how to forgive. It's just a board." I got a week of dish duty for arguing back. Lily could do no wrong though. She would spill juice on the couch and my dad would wipe it up himself, cooing at her to stop crying. I would miss one chore like forgetting to take out the trash, and I was grounded for 2 weeks, stuck in my room, while Lily got to watch TV. When I got the flu in 7th grade, my dad told me to tough it out and go to school anyway. But if Lily got a splinter or a scraped knee, he would drop everything, leave work early, and carry her to the couch like she was dying. Once she even faked a stomachache to skip a math test and dad let her stay home, brought her soup and rented her favorite movies. I would have never done such a thing, guys. I tried so hard to get him to notice me. I aced every test, joined the soccer team, even sat through his dumb fishing shows pretending to care about base lures. Nothing worked. If I messed up, I was the screw-up son. If I did good, he barely grunted, "Nice job," before turning back to Lily. The worst day, which was the day I gave up on him, was my 15th birthday. I'd been hyping it up for weeks. My dad promised that we would drive 2 hours to this awesome arcade in Orlando. Me, him, Lily, Uncle Mike, and my 2 best friends, Tim and Ryan. I could already hear the arcade machines beeping, smell the greasy pizza, and picture myself racking up tickets for one of those giant stuffed animals. I had saved up $50 from my allowance to help with gas, even though my dad said he would cover it. I was so pumped, counting down the days like a kid waiting for Christmas. Then the morning before, Lily woke up with a runny nose. No, it was not a fever, it was just an ordinary sniffle and a couple of sneezes. I was in the kitchen eating cereal when my dad sat me down, his face all serious like he was about to announce a funeral, and he said, "Jake, we cannot go to the arcade," folding his arms. "Lily is sick, I'm not leaving her like this." I stared at him with my spoon frozen in my hand. "Dad, it is my birthday. It's just a cold. Can't she stay with Grandma and Grandpa? They're literally 10 minutes away." He shook his head as if I'd suggested something insane. "No way, Jake. She's suffering. You call your friends and tell them it's off. I will handle Mike." He got up, already pulling out his phone, leaving me sitting there with my heart sinking into my sneakers. I locked myself in my room and cried like I hadn't since my mom died. I felt stupid, but the tears just kept coming. My birthday, the one thing I'd been looking forward to all year, was gone because of Lily's dumb nose. When my phone rang later, I wanted to ignore it, but it was Uncle Mike, and Uncle Mike was nice, so I couldn't ignore it. "Hey kids, screw your dad's nonsense. Me, you, Tim and Ryan are going to that arcade. Lily's sniffles ain't stopping us." I was so happy when I heard him say that. That day was everything. My Uncle Mike blasted different songs in his car and we sang along windows down, laughing like idiots. At the arcade we went wild, we battled on Street Fighter, shot hoops at those basketball machines and stuffed our faces with pizza. I won enough tickets for a stuffed alien, a plastic sword and this goofy light-up ring that flashed red and blue. For those few hours I forgot all about Dad and Lily. When we got back, Lily was on the couch sipping a Coke and looking perfectly fine. She saw my prize bag and lit up like it was her birthday. "Jake, those are so cool. Can I have the ring?" I clutched the bag tight. "No, Lily, these are mine from my birthday trip." My dad overheard and stormed over. "Jake, don't be a selfish brat, give her something, she's been sick all day." I laughed because it sounded really funny. Stupidly hilarious actually. Sick? She's been drinking soda and watching TV. You cancelled my birthday for a fake runny nose, Dad. I'm keeping my stuff. He looked so angry after I said that. "You ungrateful little punk. I put a roof over your head and you cannot even share with your sister? Her health is worth more than your stupid arcade games. Grow up and be a man." "You know what would be nice, Dad? If you showed up for me just once." My voice shook, but I kept going. "I'm done trying to make you care. You want me to be a man? How about you set an example, huh?" I walked away clutching my prizes and locked my door. That was the moment I gave up on him. I stopped chasing his approval, stopped trying to be the perfect son. I leaned on the people who actually cared about me, which were Uncle Mike, Aunt Lisa, Tim and Ryan. My dad did not even notice me slipping away. As long as Lily was there batting her lashes and playing princess, he was happy. In high school, I joined the band, learned trumpet and got pretty good. I never even invited my dad to concerts or award ceremonies because why would I? He never showed up for my soccer games, my science fairs, nothing. I knew he still wouldn't show up for that. I won the most approved player at a big band ceremony and Uncle Mike and Aunt Lisa were there, cheering like I had won an Oscar. They snapped pictures, posted them on Facebook, and the comment section was filled with praises for me. However, some people were curious, asking why Dad and Lily were not there. My dad saw the post and called me. He sounded so pissed. "Jake, why didn't you tell me about the ceremony? I would have been there." I snorted into the phone. "Dad, you've never shown up for me. Why would I think that you would care now?" He got all defensive and said, "That's not true. I'm your father, Jake. I care." "Yeah? Name one time you proved it. One time you picked me over Lily." And he went quiet. Well, just as I thought, Dad, I said before I hung up. My cousin later told me Dad called Uncle Mike yelling about him stealing his kid, and Uncle Mike shut him down real hard. "Tom, you've ignored Jake for years. Don't get mad now because people see it." For a bit, my dad tried to play nice. He showed up to my graduation clapping like he belonged there, but it was too late. Lily won a volleyball award a week later, and he was back to fawning over her, forgetting me again. I myself moved on. I went to college for computer science and threw myself into it. I was damn good at it too. By 21 I had built an app that took off, a fitness tracker thing that gyms and health nuts loved. By 25 I had sold my first startup for millions and started another. By 30 I was a multi-millionaire, living in a Miami penthouse with a view of the ocean. I didn't hear much from Dad until Lily did something I never imagined. Out of nowhere, she took out all the $80,000 of Dad's life savings and ran off with her boyfriend. My dad was so wrecked. He called me, crying like a baby, saying that she had betrayed him and left him broke. He had been laid off from his mechanic job, was drowning in debt, and the bank was circling his house. "Jake," he pleaded, "I need help. I'm your dad. We are family, son." I was in my big office sitting on my very comfortable chair. I laughed when he said that. "Family? Wow, Dad. Wait, let me under you. Do you mean the family you ignored for decades? The one you picked Lily over every damn time?" "Jake, I messed up, okay? I was grieving your mom. Lily was all I had of her. I didn't mean to hurt you, son." "You didn't mean to?" "Dad, you made me feel like garbage my whole life. You missed every game, every award and every moment that mattered to me. You called me selfish for wanting one day, just one day for myself. And now you're calling because Lily screwed you over and you've got nothing? You think I owe you?" He was crying now, his voice all shaky. "I'm sorry, Jake. I'm so sorry. I want to fix this. Let me be your dad again, okay? I'll be better this time, I swear." I laughed at him. "You don't get to decide that now, Dad. You had your chance, but you exhausted it in picking Lily every time. I was your kid too, Dad. I was right there trying so hard and you didn't see me. I built my life without you. I don't need you now, the same way you didn't need me all these years." "Jake, please," he begged. "I'm losing the house. I have nowhere to go." Part of me wanted to help him. I was tempted to just write a check for him and get him off my back, but then I remembered everything he did to me. How he never came through for me and how I was forced to grow up all on my own. So I immediately pushed the thought of helping him away. I'm sorry you're struggling, Dad, but you made your choices. And you gotta live with them. I hung up before he could say anything else. Word spread fast. My dad lost the house a few months later. He is renting a room in some guy's trailer now, still calling Liddy, who doesn't answer. But he texts me sometimes, little messages like, "Thinking of you, son," or "Can we talk?" I reply with short stuff like, "Busy, maybe later," but that later never comes. I don't hate him, but I'm done with him. I've got people who care about me around, and they are the only ones who matter now. And yeah guys, if you would have been in OP's position, would you have also treated the situation like this? Or would you have forgiven your dad? Let me know in the comments, I am really curious. The next one is titled, "My brother-in-law threw away all my sister's mugs instead of packing them like he promised, so we sent her new stuff just to agitate him." My sister and her husband moved to Arkansas to be closer to his parents. She was gonna pack up her mugs, but he told her not that he would pack them up to bring back on a later trip. What he did instead was throw away all her mugs. So here's what me, my stepmom and my dad did to agitate him. My dad sent her a couple mugs, my stepmom sent her a set of blue diamond pots and pans. Since she only has one pan, it's the pink set my stepmom ordered for her. Me, I sent her a set of cutesy ceramic marshmallow mugs, a cookie mug with a cookie holder slot on the bottom, an Oreo mug set that has cookie tongs and a cookie holder along with the mug, and a cookie dunker. I think the cookie dunker was a nice touch, since she'll like how cute it is, and he'll hate it for being a useless utensil. And the next one is another petty revenge story, and it is titled, "Nailed the Lunch Stealer." At work we had a community fridge where everyone put their lunches, everyone had their names on them, or at least on their containers. I was a chef my entire career, but had taken a different job as my career was winding down. Something to do with my time. Every job has lunch thieves it seems. I got mine taken more than others as people knew it was gotta be good. I frequently brought fancy sandwiches like banh mi or such things. And I knew, or at least suspected, who the thief was. A CPA I will call Michael because that's his name. He was on a days-long streak of pilfering, so I made a nice big banh mi and spiked the mayo. Did I mention I also own a hot sauce company? Well, I do. I took Trinidad scorpion pepper powder from peppers I had dehydrated and loaded the mayo with it. About an hour before everyone took their lunch break was prime time for the lunch thief to go do his dirty work. I looked in the fridge and sure enough, the skunk took the bait. As I walked by the bathroom, his preferred hiding/lunch spot, I heard coughing, gagging and finally vomiting. Really grotesque yet satisfying noises. I casually walked in and looked at the red-faced, watery-eyed, drooling mess and with much concern asked if he was alright. He mumbled he was not feeling well and might have to go home. He was gone the rest of that day and all of the next. Michael, to my knowledge, never stole anyone's lunch again. And the next one is another petty revenge story, and this one you don't want to miss for sure. It is brand new. It's titled, "Created a Problem to Keep My Annoying Neighbor Occupied and Get Some Peace." In the early 90s, we bought a new house on a lot that was recently severed and sold from the neighbor's property. It was a large corner lot divided into two parcels. The back parcel was originally intended as a second driveway to connect the side road to the neighbors, but was mistakenly sold to us. Our neighbor, a known grumpy old guy, insisted that this back parcel was his property and was never intended to be sold. He and his lawyer messed up. He would often stand there right in front of our bedroom windows to kind of mark his property. Trying to have a reasonable conversation with him was impossible, and I repeatedly told him that I had the deed and that the property line was not gonna change. His wife was rarely seen as she had limited mobility and spent most of her time watching TV connected to a C-band satellite dish. At the time I was working in wireless and had access to test equipment. To find a way to keep the neighbor occupied and hopefully give us some peace, I decided to generate interference that would jam his satellite signal. I set it up on a timer so their signal would cut out 10 minutes before the hour and come back 10 minutes after, meaning they would consistently miss the beginnings and ends of their TV programs. This has definitely kept him busy trying to figure out what was wrong. He even called out technicians, but of course the issue never occurred when they were there. I could often hear his frustrated outburst and I imagine his wife was adding to the pressure. After a few weeks of this, I walked over to him while he was fiddling with the dish and casually mentioned that I worked in wireless and had some knowledge of satellite communications and maybe I could have a look. He was immediately interested, so I climbed up the ladder, pretended to adjust something, gave him some technical sounding nonsense about what I had found, and then told him it was fixed. Then I stopped the interference coming from my house. A few days later he came over to thank me profusely, saying I had fixed it when no one else could. From that day forward, he was the friendliest neighbor and never mentioned the contested piece of land again. And now let's move on to the next story. It starts like this. The gamble that backfired. I will never forget the experience I had a decade ago when I was renting a quaint little house from a local housing association in a charming village nestled in the heart of England. It was a cozy place, but like most rental properties in the area, it came with a catch. The tenant was responsible for everything from the flooring and wall coverings to the upkeep of the garden. Being the most ambitious and creative soul that I embraced the challenge and poured my heart into transforming the house into a true home. Over the years, I meticulously selected the perfect wallpaper for each room, laid down beautiful hardwood floors, and cultivated a stunning garden that became the envy of the neighborhood. The lush green lawn was bordered by colorful flower beds, and a majestic oak tree stood tall in the center, providing shade and a haven for birds. I even built a spacious shed at the back, perfect for storing my gardening tools and outdoor furniture. When the time came for me to move on to a new chapter in my life, I reached out to the next tenant, a middle-aged woman named Olivia, to discuss the possibility of her purchasing some of the improvements I had made. It was a common practice in the area, and I believed it was only fair to be compensated for the time, effort and money I had invested in the property. However, Olivia proved to be a difficult negotiator. She seemed interested in keeping the flooring, wallpaper and garden, but her offers were insultingly low. I tried to reason with her, explaining the true value of the improvements and the benefits they would bring to her as the new tenant, but she remained steadfast in her stance. "I'm sorry, but I simply cannot afford to pay what you're asking," Olivia said, her tone laced with a hint of smugness. "I'm sure you will find a way to remove everything before you leave." Her words struck a nerve, and I could not help but feel that she was underestimating my resolve. Little did she know, I had a plan up my sleeve. With the help of my friends, I organized a massive renovation project. We worked tirelessly for 3 days straight, ripping up the hardwood floors, tearing down the wallpaper, and dismantling the shed piece by piece. The once thriving garden was reduced to a barren patch of dirt, devoid of any greenery or life. Even the sturdy fence at the back of the property was removed, leaving nothing but a vast empty space. As I stood in the doorway, surveying the bare concrete floors, walls and the old, creaky wooden staircase, a sense of satisfaction washed over me. The kitchen had been stripped down to its bare essentials. The house now resembled a blank canvas ready for its new occupant to make their mark. With a final glance, I closed the door behind me, leaving the house and its memories in the past. Months later, I bumped into an old neighbor who still lived on the same street. She mentioned that Olivia had been quite shocked and dismayed upon moving into the house, confronted with the stark reality of her decision not to negotiate fairly. "I guess she learned a valuable lesson," my neighbor chuckled, shaking her head. "Sometimes it is better to invest in the good things that come your way." As I reflected on the experience, I couldn't help but feel a twinge of satisfaction. Olivia had gambled, thinking I would not go through the trouble of removing all the improvements, but she had severely underestimated my determination. In the end, her reluctance to find a middle ground had cost her the opportunity to enjoy the fruits of my labor. Looking back, I realized that the entire episode taught me a valuable lesson as well. It's important to stand up for what you believe is right and not let others take advantage of your hard work. And while it may have been a bittersweet victory, I knew that I had made the right decision in the end. And the next one is a brand new, fantastic, malicious compliance story. It is titled, "No Hair That Touches the Shirt Collar? Okay, we will wear wigs." So this is setting the Wayback Machine to the early 90s, back when the membership warehouse I worked for allowed smoking in the break room. So one day, seemingly out of nowhere, our warehouse manager decided to enforce the dress code that men's hair could not be long enough to touch the collar of our shirt. This was a problem for a few of my coworkers who had very long hair. One guy had been growing his out since high school and it was down to his ass. Well, none of them wanted to cut their hair, but they were being given no wiggle room. Well, one day the guy referenced referenced above came to work with short hair. It looked like he actually cut it, but after a few days he told us, no management, that he had a wig made that looked like his real hair. This led to all the other guys with questionable locks getting wigs too. Now here's where the malicious compliance comes in though. The wigs became to get more and more ridiculous. A ginger got one that was jet black, an African American guy had a wig with red hair. It got to the point that shoppers were making comments and these guys were not shy about telling them that management said they were not allowed to have long hair. The whole fiasco lasted less than 4 months before we were told that as long as the natural hair was clean, presentable and didn't interfere with working duties, length would no longer be an issue. And yeah guys, thank you for watching. I will see you again tomorrow.